Okay, so we made it to week 7. You have been doing a peer response last week, and now up to this point, you need to be rewriting your paper. And as you know, on Wednesday of this week, the paper is due, as it says right here in red. So this video is going to talk about, after you have read the important information here, the video you're watching now will be a description of the research project and the handout associated with it. So here's the link for it. You can click on it on your own. I'm going to take you on a little walkthrough of this handout. So as always, it's a Word document, and I'm going to download it so that we can look at it together. So as you can see here in the handout, I come to terms with the project. And briefly what it is we're going to be doing it's broken down into steps, or what I call stages here. And the first one will be the wide read. Those are the 4 articles that we're going to be reading over the next 4 weeks, 1 per week. And you're going to be looking for ideas that you can mine from these articles and then take in any direction you want to take them in as the basis for your research project. Okay, so the wide read is kind of the seed bed for the ideas that you'll eventually be writing about. Again, you're going to want to read this in detail, but let's take a look at the various steps. We're going to be spending the rest of the semester, that's 8 full weeks, on this assignment. But it's a fairly large assignment, but it's going to be broken down into smaller steps with deadlines along the way. If you stick with the smaller deadlines along the way, this will not be a difficult assignment for you. Okay, but as with anything else, if you let them go and get behind on them, then this will be a difficult assignment to you. So my advice is to stick with the deadlines as I've laid them out. I've tried to lay them out as fairly and space them out as equally as I possibly can. So as I just said a minute ago, we're going to be spending the next 4 weeks reading the articles, and you'll be doing some low stakes writing about it in the daily class schedule. So you're going to want to take a look at that. Once we have completed the wide read, then we're going to have a Noodle Tools research workshop. Okay, and I have a separate video that will walk you through that. But we're going to be using Noodle Tools in combination with Academic Search Elite. That's a research database. We're going to use Academic Search Elite to locate the articles that you're going to cite in your paper. And we're going to use Noodle Tools to put your project into some kind of organizational structure. And we're going to use Noodle Tools to create some citations and annotations for your project. Okay, so that's an important little workshop day. As I just mentioned a second ago, the annotations, that's step 3 of your paper. Basically, what I'm going to ask you to do is to write an annotation for 3 of your, as you can see here, for 3 of the best articles you've located in your research. You're going to be locating a lot more than just 3 articles, but you're going to annotate the 3 best ones that you have located. And they're going to be a minimum of 1 page each. And we will talk about the specifics of this assignment on another day. Okay. But for now, all you need to know is that you will be doing them on 3 articles, either articles you have located in the database, or 2 articles from the database and 1 that we have read together in the wide read you can annotate, or you can do 1 that you found in the database and you can annotate 2 of the interviews that you will be conducting. Yes, I'm asking you as a requirement of this assignment that 2 of your sources be personal interviews that you have done with someone, preferably a stakeholder in the audience of your paper. Again, it's not anything to get worried about. It's not that difficult. And I'll talk more about it on another time. The 4th step is the Prezi stage. Yes, I'm going to require you to use Prezi. It's free, it's easy. All it is 1 more annotation. These are textual annotations. You're going to write them down and turn them into me. This is a visual annotation. You're going to take the very best source you have located in your research, and you're going to present it as a Prezi to your classmates. Okay. And again, we're going to spend our time with this. Right now, we're just doing an overview of the research project. Once we're done with the prezzies, then you will be ready to write the first draft of your paper. You're going to write a rough draft of your essay that is going to be due during Wednesday of week 13, and it is required to be a minimum, as you can see here, of 1,700 words. You're going to turn this rough draft into me, and I am going to read it, and then based on your first draft, your rough draft, we are going to have these, will happen simultaneously. We're going to have one-on-one conferences together where we meet via Zoom, and we will talk about my feedback orally from that I have from reading your rough draft. Okay, I'm not going to grade your rough draft. I'm going to grade your preparation for these one-on-one conferences, and I will be giving you the various criteria that you need to think about to get yourself prepared for these one-on-one conferences. Okay. Then once we get through the one-on-one conferences, we've pretty much reached the very end of the semester. On the very last day of class of the semester, we're going to be doing a peer response workshop. Just like we did for Essay 1 and Essay 2, you'll get some feedback in the conferences. You'll get some feedback from me. On the very last day of class, you will get some feedback from your classmates. Once the semester is over, then that brings us to the last two stages. That's stage 8A and 8B. There's a separate handout for the cover letter, which we'll look at together on another time. But the cover letter is going to be, you cannot write the cover letter until the research paper is done. Okay, the cover letter, it's literally a letter. It's not another essay. You're going to write it directly to me, dear Professor Perry, and you're going to talk me through the various steps that you went through in researching your paper and in writing your paper. And I have some questions for you to think about. This is called meta writing. You're going to do some writing about the writing you did for this project. Okay, that is a required element of your portfolio. And then the 8B is the portfolio itself. Again, I will talk about the elements that go into it. It will be primarily it will be your rough draft, it will be your final draft, it will be your portfolio cover letter, and we may or may not be doing some visual exercises to help you get ready to write your paper. So again, this isn't anything to worry about. We're just hitting highlights today. Okay. Your final portfolio will contain your final draft, which is a minimum of 2,200 words, and that is due Tuesday, May 11th at midnight. That falls right in the middle of finals week. Okay, so those are the various steps and stages of the research project, which were, as I said at the beginning, we're going to spend 8 weeks on doing this. So you do not need to get intimidated or anxious about this assignment. A couple last little requirements. In your paper, you need to include multiple perspectives, perhaps alternative or opposing views, meaning you can't just find articles that agree with the point that you have taken. You need to use at least one article from the wide read that we read together in class, as well as 3 outside sources from an Academic Search Elite. Okay, that's the database. You would need to include 2 personal interviews as part of your sources for this paper. You can't just summarize your articles, you need to forward and counter them. In other words, engage them in some kind of a dialogue, pull things from them and use them to build your argument. Don't just summarize what someone else has already said. You need to be aware of the moves your sources are making. That's from Essay 1. And you need to be aware of the moves you're trying to make to build your argument. That's Essay number 2. You need to consider your own relevant personal experiences and include them in your paper if you have any for this particular assignment. And your paper needs to be in MLA with a works cited page. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me and we'll get this done. Happy writing.